Well, what's going on, everyone? I am the Kilted Cajun. Welcome back to my channel. Now, not every single movie production can run without a hitch. Where you start filming, you get to post-production and release the movie. Everything goes nice and smooth. But then, at the same time, not every movie can go through development hell, such as in the cases of the Flash movie or Waterworld or even The Island of Dr. Moreau. But lately, quite a few things have been happening with Aquaman 2, whether it's reshoots and the director, James Wan, coming out and saying it's not actually that many days, and makes a comment somewhere in here that it's not necessarily a bad thing, where you have different ideas as you're filming, or waiting on actors' schedules. And all I can think of is, I think this sounds like an excuse to me, because once you've filmed everything and you have to go back and reshoot this scene or reshoot that scene, or possibly, if the rumors are true, remove another actress from the film as much as humanly possible because of PR nonsense, well, that adds money, more and more money, to the production budget, to the point where it's so inflated that the need to make $800-900 million just to break even starts to get closer and closer. Then you have other reports of Aquaman 2 reportedly cut Ben Affleck's Batman at James Gunn's insistence. Like, my goodness, you have a director that's coming in to take over the entire cinematic universe, and the movies that are scheduled to be released just don't fit the bill for anything moving forward, so you start cutting people from the movie. And then again, this article from Screen Rant gets candid about it. Aquaman 2 director response to James Gunn's DC Universe. James Gunn coming out and announcing that, hey, I'm taking over the DC Universe, and here's where we're going, when you have 3 more movies coming out at the time, that being Blue Beetle, The Flash, and the upcoming Aquaman 2. Those movies weren't going to make money to begin with because of the waning interest in superhero movies, and, of course, maybe if you believe the hype or the, I guess, negative publicity with Ezra Miller, and you just turn away from the movie. Well, that's each individual's decision on that one, but let's see what the director has to say about this. And this little quote from Screen Rant. Screen Rant recently took part in a trailer event for Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. We're going to be getting more of those things with the actors' strike and the writer strike over. They're going to get back on the promotional tour train. Can't wait for that to happen. Director James Wan says, I'm aware of everything that's happening around me. I mean, I use the analogy that I'm living in a house that's getting renovated. That's not good. It's hard to not be aware of the renovation that's happening around me. Why'd you repeat yourself? You're talking. Wait, I should probably be the last one to criticize that. Writing and talking. Moving on. But the beauty about Aquaman is that we've always designed these 2 films to be within their own world. The advantage of not being hooked into this bigger universe is whatever happens over there doesn't really affect my movie. Tell that to the director of Blue Beetle, whose movie, I don't even think it broke even. I think it only barely broke its production budget. And you got to make at least double that before you consider making any money off of it. That movie is easily a standalone movie. It's not terrible, but it's nothing to write home about. It's not connected to anything. It's very obvious it's not connected to anything. People didn't go to see it. They just didn't. Are people going to go see Aquaman 2? I have my theories. The film doesn't hook into anything. It lives in its own world. That's what we found worked really well for us on the first film, and we're doing exactly the same. There's noise going around, but I'm just in my cocoon, in my underwater kingdom. I don't know how much the first movie made was based on it being Aquaman. Good Lord, that CGI. Is that just a bad screenshot? We're going to go with that's just a bad screenshot. How much of the popularity of that movie was because it was Aquaman, or because it was Jason Momoa, or it was because it was a DC superhero movie. Who knows? Aquaman 2 will definitely be a good judge of how much interest has waned for superhero movies, if it even breaks $1 billion. I believe the first movie broke $2 billion. At the time it came out, it was sandwiched amongst a bunch of other Marvel movies. And that's another question. Did people think that this was part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe? That's a shame, because that means you just don't know who Aquaman is. But the final nail in the coffin for this movie, for sure, even after James Gunn coming out and announcing that he was taking over and all these movies didn't really matter, this article from Bounding Into Comics, James Gunn kills Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom in its cradle by declaring nothing is canon until Creature Commandos. Do you even know what Creature Commandos is? I think that's going to be the cartoon. Huh. Disney Studios CEO James Gunn decided to abort. Nice choice of word. I love James Trent. I love John F. Trent's amazing, beautiful, wonderful choice of words in his articles. Fantastic. Don't ever change. Upcoming Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom film by declaring that no DC properties until Creature Commandos will be canon. My goodness, oopsie doopsie. Gunn recently made his declaration in a response to a confused Threads user who asked him, quote, "You said DC studio movies and canon start with Superman Legacy. I and many others are still confused. Rightly so, because when you have a cinematic universe, which I think they desperately need to Hollywood get away from the cinematic universe, start making standalone, the superhero genre is on its way out. Figure it out. Better get started on better movies, on different movies, different genres. They'll probably go into the video game adaptation and run that one into the ground like they've done with everything else. Get away from it now. Start preparing for it now. It's diminishing returns across the board. Are the returning actors playing new versions of the same characters? Is this a J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah situation? The Superman Legacy director responded, quote, "Nothing is canon until Creature Commandos next year." So, again, final nail in the coffin for this movie. I can't imagine this movie's going to break $500 million. We'll have to wait and see. Comes out this year. A sort of aperitif to the DCU. Aperitif. It's a new word. I'm going to look it up later. And then a deeper dive into the universe with Superman Legacy after that. He added, it's a very human drive to want to understand everything all the time. But I think it's okay to be confused on what's happening in the DCU since no one has seen anything from the DCU yet. No one's seen anything from the James Gunn DCU yet. He elaborated in the follow-up post, and yes, some actors will be playing characters they've played in other stories, and some plot points might be consistent, so you're just confusing everybody even further. He made this announcement with Henry Cavill as Superman to the point where they had to reshoot a little quick scene for their after-credits scene at the end of Black Adam, and then, all of a sudden, even to going to the point where Henry Cavill came out and said, "It's a wonderful thing to play as Superman." Optimistic and all that other stuff, only to come out and just bury that little thing by saying Henry Cavill's not going to be Superman. So you almost even hurt your franchise, James Gunn, by making that announcement. People want to see Henry Cavill as Superman, and you destroyed that rumor. You shut it down, you buried it in the backyard, and just covered it with mulch. I don't know why I use that analogy, but we're going to keep going. That is going to have a negative effect on the future of your own franchise, your own cinematic universe, before it's even started. Shows and animated projects that have come from DC in the past. But nothing is canon until Creature Commandos and Legacy. Are you excited for Creature Commandos? Does anybody even know what that is? I'm sure there are some people out there that have been following DC for a long time and know what Creature Commandos is, but I'm going to judge it when it comes out. I'll check it out, just like I do everything else. Gunn would also provide clarity regarding Blue Beetle. A user asked, quote, "I'm wondering, how does the Blue Beetle movie factor in at this point in time? In the past, you have said it was included in the new DCU, but some statements are conflicting. Will it have any relation to future projects, i.e. Booster Gold show? Wink, wink. Why are you winking? You're asking for a Booster Gold show. Okay. The CEO replied, I'm pretty sure I've been getting his first name wrong, but I'm going to go with Zolo Meriduena. Meriduena. Will continue playing Blue Beetle in the DCU. Okay, that's cool. As Viola Davis will Amanda Waller, and John Cena will play Peacemaker. So we're going to get Blue Beetle. We'll get Meriduena as Blue Beetle, Viola Davis as Amanda Waller, and John Cena as Peacemaker. So those characters are definitely going forward, at least based on this current statement from James Gunn. For now, could that change next month? Sure, probably could change. We'd also address another user who balked at the idea of resetting the previous DCEU that began with Man of Steel. That was a long time ago. Seriously, though, why should we invest time and effort in yet another shared universe? This is a sentiment going across the fan base. Why continue to invest in something when it's far more likely than not that something's going to change yet again when it comes to Warner Brothers and the DC Cinematic Universe? One change after another, people will they'll essentially get tired of trying to restart over and over again. They'll just move on to some other franchise, some other genre that is more consistent, or just go back to standalone movies, standalone TV shows. Something that you don't have to watch, I don't know, seven seasons of a cartoon just so you even have half of an idea of what's going on in the continued live action adaptation. Looking at you, Disney and Dave Filoni. Just build on what's already there with slight course corrections as needed. Now that could be interesting. But Gunn replied, if you think of anything as investing time and effort, no matter what shared universe, you definitely shouldn't be. Let me try that again. If you think of anything as investing time and effort, no matter what shared universe, you definitely shouldn't be. So you don't want people to invest time and effort into anything? Not even your projects? Every story should be enjoyed and worth partaking in and of itself, without its attachments to an outside world. If it feels like homework, screw it. Shared universes should add fun to the individual stories, not the other way around. Well, I like that way of thinking. The individual stories and characters are much more important to me than the connections between them. Now, I guess we'll just have to wait and see how he does that with all the different, IPs that he's working with, whether it's Superman, Batman, Creature Commandos. Because if it's a cinematic universe, Warner Brothers wants the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That's what they want. They've always wanted it. They need somebody to come in there and get people in the seats over and over and over again. And they have failed miserably at it consistently. So to sit here and say that, well, you don't have to invest time and effort into everything because each story should be standalone, I think that's a plus and a minus. Because, sure, it's good that if you miss one of these movies or you miss the Creature Commando series, because it's a cartoon, you don't like watching cartoons regardless of how mature they are, that's not going to be detrimental to the next movie or next series that you watch because you prefer Superman over a C-list organization group in the DC world. That's good. But then if you start implementing Creature Commandos into a Batman story, into a Superman story, and people don't know who these characters are, again, that can also be detrimental. I think it'll be interesting to see where James Gunn goes with all this stuff. But ultimately, to sit there and say that Aquaman 2 is not going to be canon, that's going to hurt your ticket sales. Bottom line. I don't know how much Jason Momoa without his shirt on is going to get people into the seats. So we'll just have to wait and see where this goes. Let's see. If you recall, James Gunn stated first we have Shazam: Fury of the Gods, which is not canon. Shazam has always been off kind of on his own part in the DCU, so he connects very well. Wait, what? Shazam has always been off kind of in his own part of the DCU, so he connects very well. If he's off on his own part, how's it? Well, I guess that means you can just bring him in with no problem. That moves directly into The Flash, which was... Oh, we don't talk about The Flash. I try not to. That was a terrible movie. A fantastic movie that I really love. James Gunn, you are a liar. That resets the entire DC universe. That didn't reset anything. The ending didn't make sense. And then move into Blue Beetle, a fantastic film about a kid who is a marvelous part of the DCU, and then Aquaman 2, which is going to tank horribly, probably the worst box office flop for Warner Brothers in the DCU today, which leads directly into how is it leading into your project if you sit there and say that it's not canon? Oh, well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Can Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom make any money at the end of this superhero season of 2023? Is it going to flop? Will it be successful? Let me know what you think in the comments. Leave a like, leave a dislike. Appreciate you making it this far. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.